Hey guys, how's it going? We are taking a day from doing major yard work, and I thought that we would do some craft projects together. I love doing craft projects. I've always been into crafts. Even when I was a little kid, I used to have a craft box at my grandparents' house, and so I thought I would take you guys along with me while we do some garden crafts today. So I had gone to the Goodwill and I picked up some things. I picked up a glass candelabra, I picked up some plates, some teacups, I found some small terracotta pots, just kind of found some things that I thought that maybe I could turn into something else into the garden. So for these projects, we're going to do 4 different crafty projects today. We're going to make a wreath, we're going to do a pollinator drinking station, we're going to do a bird feeder, and then we're also going to make a small little planter. So for this project, I have hot glue, I have my hot glue gun, I have E6000, I have glasses for safety reasons, I have wire, and then I also have a drill with a masonry drill bit, and then I have an assortment of crafting supplies. So let's just jump right into it. I think that we will start with probably what is going to be the easiest one. So I went to the Goodwill and I had picked up this plate right here. I found it, I thought it was so pretty, perfect for the garden. And then I also found this candlestick. And with this candlestick, they had a huge assortment of them. They were all like $2, $3 a piece. So when I was in the Goodwill, I saw a couple different stands, and I had seen some people who had done this, and I was like, they must be using them for like dinner parties or things like that. And I thought, how cool would it be to make them for pollinator drinking stations? So all we're gonna do is we're gonna take a candelabra, we're going to put a little bit of glue on the candelabra, and then we're going to attach a plate to it. And then this is going to be our pollinator drinking station. We're going to throw a couple rocks in there, and it's going to make it so that way pollinators have somewhere that they can drink water from. So you can really do this with any candelabra, with any candlestick. I wanted to find one that didn't quite look so much like a candlestick. It's going to be important that you get a really nice bead of glue all the way around this so it doesn't fall off. This was the only one that I found that looked this way, and so I didn't think it kind of gave too much of a candelabra, but I still liked how wide the base was. I thought this would be so perfect. So we've got our glue on there, and you can use hot glue, but I've found that the E6000 works really, really well for outdoor use. Pop our plate centered on there, like so. And then we're gonna go ahead and let this dry overnight. And then once this is dry, you wanna throw some rocks on your plate, just like that. That way, some bees can go in here, they can drink some of the water out of this, and then if they get stuck in the water, they have a way to crawl out, they can dry on top of the rocks, and then they can fly away. So adding rocks into a pollinator drinking station is very important. You wanna give them some way to be able to climb out. I also find that finding plates that have like ridges and things like that, somewhere that they can grip onto, and then you just come over and refill this daily, and then there is a super easy, and I think that this cost me, I think it was $2.99 and $1.99. So $5 for a pollinator drinking station in my garden. Super cute, I love it. I'm gonna let this dry and then we'll fill it up and put it in our garden. The next one that we're gonna do is a simple little bird feeder. And I saw this idea online and I thought how cute it was. And then I found this little teacup that has shamrocks on it, and I thought it was so sweet. Originally, I was going to use the E6000 for this, and I've decided, since I saw this teacup online, I found out that it's kind of a expensive teacup. It's like a $40 teacup just for this 1 cup and saucer, and I only paid like $2.99 for this. So I've decided to not use the E6000, and I am going to use hot glue because the hot glue I can take off. And so this is just going to be a good idea. I won't be using this teacup for this project per se out in my garden. All we're gonna do is we're going to put some glue on the side of the teacup here. Ideally, you're using your E6000 glue because that glue is going to give you the strongest hold. Pop that on there, just like that. And then ideally, you will let it sit for a little while with something, maybe a couple rocks or something like that over here to hold it. So ideally you'll use the E6000 and you'll use it on a teacup that's not worth $40. You'll use it on something that's worth just a couple of dollars. Nothing too expensive. I didn't quite realize when I bought this one that it was so expensive. I just really enjoyed the pattern that was on this one. So your E6000 on a teacup, that's worth, a couple dollars, totally fine. And then that is going to give you your little bird feeder. You're gonna hang some twine from it, just like this. And you really can do this with any teacup. So I've even got another set here that we're going to use this teacup for something else. But same thing if I were to use the E6000 on this one, just hot glue it here just like this. And I think these are going to be the sweetest little bird feeders. Next, we're going to go in with just a little bit of twine at the top of this. A little bit of twine, just a little bit of twine, just like that. Cut off the excess. Go in with just a little bit of bird seed. And then just like that, you have a little bird feeder. Perfect for feeding just a couple of the extra garden birds. And I could actually see if somebody had done a whole bunch of these in a tree, that would be really, really sweet to have like 6 or 7 of these little teacups right here hanging in a garden. I think that'd be a super cute little theme in a garden, a very cute little cottagey tea garden. Perfect way to feed the birds, get bird seed all the way around. It's very cottagey, very sweet. And I think I'm gonna put one of these in the secret garden. So next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna work on this wreath form. So I made this wreath form out of willow branches. You can go buy a wreath form from things like Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, places like that. I just happen to have a willow tree in my garden, and so I was fortunate enough to be able to make one, and I thought how fun it would be to make my own little garden wreath. So I picked up these little terracotta pots from the Goodwill. I think I paid $2.99 for all of these, which I thought was a great deal. I have some hydrangeas from my garden from last year, and I thought how pretty these would be inside these terracotta pots, looking like little plants. And we're going to wire these to this vine. And then I also have some of these really cool little mushrooms that I picked up, and I thought that these would be really cool hot glued to the vine or to like the sides of the containers like this. I thought that that would be really pretty. So we're going to start off by wiring all of these pots to this wreath form right here. I'm going to do some of them kind of close, and then I'm going to have some spaced out, and I'm just going to be using this wire right here. This is just floral wire, and we're going to go up the bottom hole like so, wrap it around, not using scissors to cut our wire, and then we're going to just attach these directly to this wreath form. We'll wrap this around a couple of times, making sure that's nice and secure. Tuck it in, and then for good measure, you can always go in with just a little bit of hot glue, but I think that that wire is going to be perfect for it because I'm not really putting in anything heavy. What I am thinking that would be really cool is maybe changing out what's in those pots during the season. Actually might go in with a little bit of hot glue on this. Hot glue will just keep it in place exactly where we want it to be. So I'm gonna just go ahead and place these kind of where I want them. I want 2 on this side, maybe 2 down here. Going alternating inside and out. And we'll put the last one up there like so. Perfect. We'll quickly wire these guys on, and then we can start gluing our mushrooms, and then last we will put on our hydrangeas. Just a little bit of hot glue. Okay, there we go. We have all of our little terracotta pots on our wreath form. It would actually probably look really good with one of the wreath forms that are pre-made, that are a little bit bulkier, that are much beefier. But this will work, especially because my wreath form was free. Next step, I'm just gonna go ahead and glue in some of these little mushrooms around these terracotta pots. I think that that'll be really sweet. And we're just gonna go in with just a little bit of glue I will try to put a link to these little mushrooms online if I can remember where we got them from. But I think that they're so sweet. I don't want to go with too many of them, just maybe like 4 or 5 of these guys. I think I do want to use one of these big ones somewhere. Maybe not. Maybe we're just going to go with these little guys. Okay, just like that, I have my mushrooms and my terracotta pots on. That is perfect. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna pop in some of these little hydrangea stems, and I'm not gonna glue these in because I think what'll happen is I'm gonna probably wanna change them throughout the growing season. So I am just going to pull these through the bottoms of these pots, cut them, and then call that good. We're gonna find the most perfect looking ones that we can find. Some of these might be a little too large. Just the daintiest little guys. Okay, I think that is the perfect little wreath form. Like I said, I do think it would actually be better if it was a bulkier wreath form, but I do think that this is very sweet. I love using the little terracotta pots on it. I think that's very unique. The touches of the mushrooms. This is giving very much cottage garden, and I think that this is going to be perfect for in the greenhouse. Okay, last is kind of the scariest project that we're gonna do, and we're going to take this little teacup and we're gonna turn it into a little planter. I think that's going to give the cottage vibe that I need in my little greenhouse, is adding little cottagey touches by teacups. And so what we're going in with is a diamond blade drill bit. This is the 1/4 inch. This was a $11 drill bit, so kind of expensive, but when you have it, you can use it for a very, very long time. So we're gonna take our cup, flip it upside down, put just a little bit of water on there, so that way it doesn't heat up or anything like that. Take our diamond drill bit, and we're just gonna start drilling on here, and it's gonna make some glass grinding sounds, and there's a good chance that this breaks. And if it breaks, we're going to pretend that I succeeded and that this teacup stayed intact, because I don't have another teacup. Ideally, if I was smarter, I would have bought 3 or 4 teacups for this project, and I did not, because there's always a good chance that you're gonna break a teacup. So you don't wanna do this with a teacup that's very expensive or one that's near and dear to your heart. But this one, the cresting that's on the saucer and that's actually on the teacup itself, reminded me of the cresting that's on the greenhouse. So I thought that it would tie in beautifully. I probably should have bought in 2 or 3 of these ones. They had like 3 of these cups and they had like 5 of these plates. So I know it was a broken set anyways, but I'm hoping that it doesn't shatter on me. Okay, just like that, we have drilled a hole into the bottom of our teacup. So we've got a nice little hole in there for drainage. When I decide to turn this into a little planter, it will be able to drain properly and I don't have to worry about it. So now what I can do is I can just fill this up with a little bit of soil, put a succulent or something in here. That would be perfect. Put a small little ivy for a little while. Just turning a little teacup into a little planter. That way we've got drainage and it has its own built-in ceramic saucer. And this is going to be the cutest little teacup for my greenhouse. So let me go ahead and fill this up with a little bit of soil and I'll throw a little plant in there just so you guys can see what it looks like. And you can take something as simple as even just a little ivy right here. This is not going to be its forever home, but this would be a great little place to be able to keep this ivy until I figure out what I want to do with it exactly. So ideally, when potting something up, you pot up. I am today potting down, just to be able to show you guys what I'm doing with it. But I think if I just went and bought a little succulent, that would be so sweet in there. Look at how cute that looks. Our little teacup of ivy. I love that. And just like that, I have a little ivy plant that is probably a little bit too big for this teacup. But how cute would this be to have a little shelf in the greenhouse or somewhere in the garden or something like that and have a teacup shelf? So cute. Have little succulents in them, little vines, or just little plants in them. I think would be very, very sweet. And I like that it has a built-in saucer, so that way I can bottom water. I love to bottom water all my plants. Now we have drainage on the bottom. You have to go slow with drilling the drainage though. That's very, very important when working with it. So I would say overall, today is a win. We got the cutest little bird feeder made today. We were able to make ourselves a new little pot, a little planter. I love this idea, and I love that this one matches my greenhouse. I was able to make a cute little wreath today. I love how the wreath turned out. I think it's very, very sweet, and I can't wait to go hang this one up in the greenhouse on the doors. And then lastly, I was able to make a little pollinator drinking station. And all of these projects just cost just a few dollars to make. The teacups were, I think, like $2.99 for each teacup. This plate was $2.99 or $1.99, and then this was like $2.99 or $1.99. And this was really, I had everything on hand, so it just cost me the cost of these terracotta pots, which I think were $4.99 or $5.99, I believe, for all of them, which I thought was a pretty good deal. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for coming along and doing a couple garden crafts with me on this hot summer day. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.